So if one prepares themselves correctly and properly in celebrating or offering all these acts of ibadah and acknowledging these blessed days, then when the celebration of Eid al-Adha, when it comes around, it will be there for you to understand, insha'Allah ta'ala. Now please don't forget, brothers, this is a live show and you have the opportunity to call in. The numbers are rolling at the bottom of your screen. The studio line is 0203 515 0769. We also have a WhatsApp number where if you save it at the bottom of your on your phone, it's at the bottom of your screen now. It is 0742 239 8833. So that's 04742 239 8833 is there. If you save it on your phone, you can send the messages to us, inshallah, via the WhatsApp, and we can answer them as well. This is a great opportunity for you, inshallah ta'ala, to send these particular questions in, which maybe ordinarily it's maybe a little bit difficult for you because they're maybe a little bit sensitive, a little bit awkward for you to deal with or to speak about. Now you have that opportunity, and bearing in mind we have spoken about the importance of Dhul Hijjah or Hajj, you also have the opportunity to ask questions about Hajj. We had a show last night, alhamdulillah, it's very busy with your calls and your questions, and we answered many questions concerning some specific actions concerning the Hajj. When does Hajj become an obligation upon me? What am I supposed to do when in certain actions during the Hajj? We spoke about the history of Hajj as well. So this is a good opportunity for us, brothers and sisters, for us to ask the questions that are important for you, inshallah ta'ala, and then we can take it from there, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So we'll have our first question, alhamdulillah, via the WhatsApp, and the question is that I owe a person who's a drug dealer and they're selling alcohol. I owe them some money when I was living alone, and unfortunately I was abused. Now I have moved away to my mum's because of fear of my life. Do I have to pay back with a lot of risks, and from that maybe my life is in danger? Can I move on and do tawbah? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you. Subhanallah, it's a very difficult situation, and I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make that easy for you. Now what I would say is that if you're in a situation, first and foremost, where you fear for your life, it is important to speak to the correct authorities to ensure that you or your family do not come to any harm. And I understand that in certain circumstances where you don't have many financial options, that you can get yourself into situations which, yes, are haram, but maybe you don't have any other option, and things can become very difficult. So what I would say, first and foremost, if a person feels genuinely that they are threatened by other people, and that maybe their wealth or their life or their property or whatever is at risk, or they feel at danger, then they should contact the authorities to ensure that they can receive professional advice and maybe some form of protection on these issues. It is quite difficult for me to really go into great detail because this is very sensitive, but no doubt if you've done something in the past where you feel that you need to make tawbah, you need to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then by all means do that. And maybe your certain situation, you can speak to a person of knowledge in detail to get some further advice, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. Okay, with that we have a caller on the line, inshallah ta'ala, so we can take that call now, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum, caller. Yes, brother, your question, please.
I just my question is, I started to practice, and I'm in university currently studying, and I just finished the first year, and I just want to know, should I drop out? I don't know, should I drop out? If I drop out because of the river, the loans, and it's a bit of a grey area, I was wondering, what would you recommend me to do? Carry on studying or drop out?
Okay, so you took the loan knowing the ruling concerning it?
Not knowing the
Not
ruling
knowing.
concerning it before. I was not knowing not
Okay.
having too much knowledge
طيب.
on it.
Okay. Okay. We're coming to a break, inshallah ta'ala, brother. So if you hold the line, or rather, sorry, if you stay tuned, we'll answer the question in some depth after the break, inshallah ta'ala. Is that okay, brother?
So,
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you for your question, brother. So after that, the break we have in about half a minute or so, that we'll answer that question after the break. We want to make sure that we answer this question in the detail that is necessary for that, inshallah ta'ala. As I was mentioning earlier, brothers and sisters, it is very important for us to, as Muslims in the modern day, to adhere to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with, and that what He gave to us in the guidance in the Quran and likewise in the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salam. We in fact face many challenges in these issues because we can be diverted away from them in the basic issues of our lives, like this brother called concerning our education, or if a person wants to buy a car and they need to have insurance and things like that. So it's important we have the correct advice on that. We'll come to the first break, inshallah ta'ala. Please join us after the break. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, brothers and sisters, to Ask Eman, the late show, where this gives you an opportunity to ask the questions that maybe usually you might find a little sensitive or a little difficult to ask. This particular show here at late night is that opportunity for you to send your questions in, and there are a number of ways that you can do that, as we reminded you at the beginning of the show. As you can see at the bottom left of your television screen, there are some numbers which are rolling. Currently, there's the studio line where you can call into the show, and the number is 0203 515 0769. It is also live on YouTube. You can watch it using your devices, and you can put questions there as well via the YouTube, and we'll do our best to answer them as well, inshallah ta'ala. You have the WhatsApp number as well, which is on your screen there, where if you save this particular number on your device, and then you can message in your questions, and we'll do our very best, inshallah ta'ala, to answer these questions and answer any concerns you have regarding your religion. So just before the break, our brother called in and asked about the issue of loans or university loans, and he is a bit confused now, or concerned, in that he has heard that when taking out these loans that they may be riba based. Now on this particular issue, it is not a black and white issue, in that it is not it's just clear it is riba and there is no other opinion. There are various approaches and understandings on this particular issue. There are those who do see it because it is based upon, i.e., that when you do pay the loan back, because it is attached to the interest rates, that maybe there is an issue concerning that. There is another view in that it is seen as it's not riba based, and it is permissible for you to take the loan out, and that is not attached to riba and things like that. Rather, it's like the government investing some funds into individuals. So there are two clear opinions on this. Now, it doesn't mean that even if you see it as a grey area and you want to avoid it, therefore you can't study at university. Alhamdulillah, I've known many people that they study during, or rather that they work during the holidays. They work very hard during the holidays. They have a part-time job, and they pay for their education over the period of the 3 or 4 years, however long that you are doing it. Okay, so this is also an option for you, that you can work and you can earn money, and that you can pay off the university fees. So that way, alhamdulillah, you can stay at university. Studying is very important for us as Muslims, that we can further ourselves as a community in the society that we are living in. So it's not merely simple saying, okay, even if you view it as something is not permissible, and then you suddenly just tell everybody just to drop out of university. It's not practical or correct to say, but rather there are many other options. Maybe you can borrow money from somebody, which whatever amount you borrow, that you will return the same amount, or you can work as well, and many people have done that, alhamdulillah, and they pay off the debt as they are studying. Okay, so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you, brother and sisters, whoever is going through a situation. Make dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla. He opens the way for you, and I'm sure that you will get through the situation in a way that is best for you, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So we have some more questions now, alhamdulillah, that we've received through the WhatsApp. And the next question is, how important is physical attraction for marriage? I have met a potential spouse who has a good personality, and it is what I want in terms of practicing Islam. However, I don't feel physically attracted. I fear that if I reject this particular proposal, I won't find another person like them in terms of deen, in terms of religion and character. But if I marry them, I may not love them as they really should be deserving of, because I'm not necessarily attracted to them. What I would say on this issue is that first and foremost, to remind ourselves what the Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to look for with regards to a spouse, and that is for the men that the Prophet ﷺ said, تنكح المرأة لأربعة. تنكح المرأة لأربعة. That a woman is married maybe for different reasons. And 4 reasons were mentioned here: for her beauty, for her lineage, for her wealth, and for her religion. The Prophet ﷺ said, فَاظْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ تَرِبَتْ يَدَاكَ. That you should choose the one with religion that will really make you happy. That is what is best for you. That doesn't mean that you should do away with not being attracted to somebody. Being attracted to somebody is extremely important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us in a way that we have an attraction to the other sex. A man will be naturally attracted to a female and vice versa. So it is very important that as Muslims we recognize that and give its correct haqq, its correct value. So if you find somebody who has good religion, this is certainly the most important. But it is also important as well for you to find somebody whom you are attracted to. And what supports this is that on a couple of occasions, a couple of narrations, we find the Prophet ﷺ, he found a companion who was about to get married, and this companion had not looked at his future spouse. So the Prophet ﷺ told him to go and look at his future spouse to ensure that he would be attracted to her. And in another narration, the Prophet ﷺ said that it is upon the person to go and see that individual who is a potential spouse, so you can see that what may attract you to marry that particular individual. But it has to be a fair compromise. It doesn't mean that the person that you are going to marry has to be the most beautiful individual that you have ever come across. Okay? But what is good is that you find a balance between the two. Okay? Because yourself, you might not be a portrait painting, and she might not see you as something which is the most handsome person in the world, yet she sees good characteristics in you, that you are clean and you look after yourself, you present yourself in a good way. So as long as there is some attraction there, then you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you go ahead with them. If however there is absolutely zero attraction, then my personal advice is that it is better not to pursue this, so that both parties are not harmed or hurt in the future. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Okay, so that's a very good question. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Just remind you, brothers and sisters, that you can call into the show, and the number is at the bottom of your screens, 0203 515 0769. Also, there's a WhatsApp number which will shortly appear on the screen, where you can WhatsApp your questions in, and we're currently going live on the YouTube, and you can pose your questions also on YouTube actually. And don't forget to share the particular link if you're watching it on your social media, so that you can share the benefit bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Okay, so we have another question inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa alaikum salam. I want to know, if a husband says to his wife, I'm done with this marriage, is that considered a divorce or not? Jazakallahu khairan. Okay, now with regards to the statements of divorce in Islam, it is important we understand that phrases are of 2 types. The first type is sarih. It is explicit. It is straightforward, and we don't need to ask that person's intention or what they intended by that statement. So if hypothetically a husband says to his wife, I divorce you, we don't need to ask somebody, did you mean that divorce? Because they clearly said it. Now in Islam we have to note as well that divorce is a very, very serious issue, and that is not taken as a joke, meaning that if a person makes a statement, that it is taken seriously and it is implemented. So if a person says it explicitly, very clearly, then it could be the case that divorce actually occurs. However, if a person makes a statement where we're not actually sure, what do you mean by that? So when a person, as in the question here, says, I'm done with this marriage, I've had enough, I can't take this anymore, and phrases like this, or you may even say to his wife, go back to your parents' house, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore. It could be understood that maybe he's had enough, or he wants their marriage to end. Or it could be that he's just very, very upset, very angry, because I'm answering the question like this because obviously it's from a man's point of view. It could be the other way around. If the wife is very upset, then of course we'll answer the question very differently. So if a person makes a statement of divorce and it is unclear as to what that person actually means, then the person could be asked, what did you intend by that statement? If they reply, I did not intend divorce, I was just very upset, and I was very angry, and I just said a statement like, I'm done with this marriage. I've calmed down and I still want to be married to my wife. We have children. So therefore, this would not be considered a divorce. If, however, when asked, the person, maybe they've calmed down somewhat and they are asked regarding their intention, and the person says, no, when I made that statement, I'm done with this marriage, I intended this as a divorce. Okay? If this was the case and it was done at the correct time, then this can be considered a divorce. Now, what I've mentioned to you now is in principle. Okay, these are the general rulings. It is not then for people just to take these rulings and start implementing them in their homes. If they have an issue with divorce, then they should go to a person of knowledge, okay, and then they can explain their issue in greater detail and get the answer. Okay, brothers and sisters, we've come to the end of this particular episode, or this part of the show. Please join me on the other side of the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, brothers and sisters, to the third part of Ask Eman, the late show. And this is the show which is obviously on a Saturday night. It starts at 10:30 and it gives you the opportunity to place your questions which are a little more sensitive of nature or a little bit more difficult to ask during the week. So hence we have put this particular show on a later time on a Saturday night. And the ways of contacting the show or placing your questions is with the numbers that are rolling on the bottom of your screen currently. There is the studio line, which is 0203 515 0769. We had a brother call earlier, alhamdulillah, so don't forget that you have the live number. We give priority to those particular questions, those who call in. And there is also the option of sending your questions via WhatsApp, and that number is currently at the bottom of your screen there as well. It is 07422398833. If you save this particular number into your device and then you go to your WhatsApp and then you can send a question, we'll receive it inshallah ta'ala on our devices and then we can answer them accordingly inshallah ta'ala. Don't forget, brothers and sisters, that when you ask a question, that you may find that there may be tens of others, maybe hundreds of others who hear your question, and if the answer is we're able to answer that particular question, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala you'll be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the good question that you asked. And don't think that there is a stupid question or I'm too embarrassed to ask. Remember that you can send your question via the WhatsApp, okay, which gives some anonymity, so you don't have to give your name or where you're coming from. So all things are made easy for you bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Okay. Um, I have a question here um, via the YouTube, and the somebody's asking, Assalamu alaikum, say wa alaikum salam. If a woman is on her menstrual cycle at the time of Tawaf al Ifada and she cannot wait for it to finish as her flight home has been booked, then what should she do? Okay, this is a very important question, and it could happen. And we know that why is this an issue, by the way? That the vast majority of the scholars are of the view that when a person performs or makes tawaf al ifada or tawaf, any tawaf for that matter, that they need to be in a state of wudu. And also, the majority of the ulama are of the view that a woman who's on her menstrual cycle should not enter the masjid. So these are two issues. So a woman, or she's part of a group where they have to return maybe after the Hajj. Maybe they spent the beginning part of their Hajj in Medina, and then they perform their Hajj, and then maybe 2 or 3 days after the days of Hajj have actually finished, their flight is back, and she's still on her monthly cycle. Number one, if she feels she can prepare for the situation, meaning that before she goes away for the Hajj, she can seek medical advice, and some medicine can be taken which will delay the menstrual cycle so that she doesn't go through this particular issue. Okay, this is important. Number one, that you seek advice from your GP to ensure that your health is not affected adversely concerning these particular tablets that you can take, which will delay your menstrual cycle. Many of the ulama have given permission for you to take these this type of medicine so that you are able to complete your Hajj, inshallah ta'ala. Right, you didn't take these particular tablets, and you're in a situation where it's the 30th or the 14th of Dhul Hijjah, and your flight is in 2 days, and you started your menstrual cycle 2 days ago. You've got 5 days remaining. It's not possible at all for you to delay your flight. You have no other option but to fly on that particular date. Is it possible for you to go away back to your country and come back at another time? This is not financially viable for you either. So some of the ulama have given an option or way out of this, and that is that a woman, she will have a ghusl, she will perform a ghusl, make sure that she is physically clean, and then she will then go and perform her tawaf. Okay, and she makes this the last thing that she does, so it can be it can be considered part of a tawaf al-wada' as well, even though that there is no tawaf al-wada' on the menstruating woman. But if she wants to delay it to do the very last thing, then she can do that. Okay, so she has a ghusl and ensures that no impurities are going to be left as she's performing her tawaf. She performs her tawaf in this state, as then immediately after that she'll perform her sa'i as well, and then she can go back to her country, inshallah ta'ala, and her Hajj, inshallah ta'ala, will be valid. And Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned this particular opinion in his book Al-Majmu' Al-Fatawa, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But this is obviously a last case, or last case scenario, if you weren't able to do the things previous to that. طيب. We have another question, inshallah ta'ala, and that is that someone is asking, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, hope and pray that you are well. Could I ask you a question regarding my sister who has cut me off for years? Do you still have the obligation to keep the ties of kinship if the relationship is toxic, manipulative, damaging to your health, emotional health? Jazakallahu khairan. طيب. So, answering a question like this, albeit there are some details that are given, meaning that the sister has cut me off, okay, that the person cut you off. But in your view, that keeping the ties of kinship with this individual is toxic, manipulative, and it's damaging to your mental and emotional health. Now, as we know in Islam, that cutting the ties of kinship is something which is categorically haram. It is not allowed. And if somebody has cut the ties of kinship with you, they cut relationship with you completely, then you need to advise them to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, to remind them about the importance of keeping up the ties of kinship. I mean, in all practical terms, obviously I assume that there are reasons behind this. Why somebody cut their relationship with you? They didn't just wake up one morning and say, right, I don't want to speak to you ever again. There's a problem in the relationship here. Now, obviously, it's not been mentioned in the question what the problem is and why it has led to this. And not only have they cut the relationship with you, because they obviously have an issue with you, it seems, Allah knows best, but you also have an issue with them, because you are saying that having a relationship with them is toxic, that they are manipulative, and that is damaging to your mental and your emotional health as well. So there's issues you have with that person as well. Not to say that you are both in the wrong, I'm not saying that. But there are issues going both ways. As we know, the Prophet ﷺ told us that keeping up or upholding the ties of kinship is not done by just doing the very basic issues, but rather, even if somebody is not behaving good with you, especially your very, very close relatives, your mother, your father, your brothers and sisters, you need to take the upper ground on this issue Islamically and do what is ever necessary to resolve the relationship between yourselves. I'm not saying that you have to be the closest brother and sister or sister and sister in the world, but at least you have a relationship, okay, that you somehow have some form of contact with one another, and that relationship can strengthen over a period of time. Obviously, my advice can only be very general, but what I can tell you is that upholding the ties of kinship is very important. Family members splitting and not talking to one another is not permissible. It is not allowed in Islam. Even though that person maybe, as you have mentioned, quote unquote, is toxic, is manipulative, okay, it doesn't mean you need to be at their house every other day or every day for that matter, but some form of contact between you has to be there, inshallah ta'ala, and you need to remind them of their responsibilities, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best, and may Allah Azza wa Jalla join all of our hearts. The next question, inshallah ta'ala, is my son has a congenital heart disease. Are there any specific surahs or du'as I can read to Allah Azza wa Jalla to give him shifa? So first and foremost, subhanallah, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give your son shifa, to give him a cure, make it easy for him, and to make it to allow you to be patient through this difficult situation. Now, if you're a child, I'm not sure where you are. In certain countries, it is possible for you to access healthcare, and an operation can be done to resolve the issue, inshallah ta'ala, if they have this congenital heart issue. Unfortunately, there are other countries where they don't have that blessing. They're not fortunate enough to have hospitals or healthcare which can cater for that. With regards to surahs and du'as, what I would say is that we know that the Quran is a shifa, is a cure, and you can place your hand over the area where that person is suffering from some difficulty, that you recite Bismillah, 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 and then you can recite Surah Al-Fatiha. And this is something you can do ongoing, inshallah ta'ala, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens a way for you. So the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha and other verses of the Quran, okay, I'm not going to say you should recite this particular, because all of the Quran, bi'ithnillah, is a shifa, but with particular reference to Surah Al-Fatiha, inshallah ta'ala, and also Ayat Al-Kursi, it being the greatest ayah in the Quran, and making lots of dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, raising your hands, praying tahajjud, asking Allah Azza wa Jalla to make it easy for you, to make it easy for your son, and to give your son a shifa and a complete shifa. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you all, sister. Ameen. We've come to the end of this particular side. Please join me after the break. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the final part of Ask Eman Late Night, where we have gone through a number of questions which have ranged from dealing with medical issues to marriage to Hajj. And Alhamdulillah, the questions are still coming. Just a reminder, brothers and sisters, that it's being the last part of the show this evening. You still have the opportunity to call in, and the numbers are available at the bottom left of your screen. The number to call the studio directly is 0203 515 0769, and there is also a WhatsApp number that you can call, inshallah ta'ala, which is also at the bottom of the screen. If you save this number, 07422 238 833, you can save this number and then you can send your questions on this, and this will come to our devices and we'll do our very best to answer those questions bi'ithnillah. We're also live on Facebook as well, alhamdulillah, where I should say YouTube actually, subhanallah. We're live on YouTube, and there you can place your questions and we'll do our very best to answer those as well, inshallah ta'ala. So moving on from that, I'll take a question from the YouTube, which is following on from an earlier question concerning if somebody was unable to perform tawaf al-ifada during their Hajj, what is the solution for that? We gave the solution for that. And continue, for if a woman returns to her country without performing the tawaf al-ifada, then is her Hajj valid? And does she need to sacrifice an animal for missing the tawaf? Now in this situation, if that individual went back to their home country without performing tawaf and obviously sa'i, then their Hajj as it stands is actually incomplete, and they would still be partially in the state of ihram. So if they were married, they are not permitted to have any sexual relationship with their spouse. But if they're able to go back to Mecca and finish their Hajj by completing their Tawaf al-Ifada and their Sa'i, then that would be enough for them, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? But there is no expiation or fidya upon them if they've not done anything. I mean, they've not done anything to invalidate their Hajj, meaning they didn't have any sexual relationship with their husband. Then the Hajj, inshallah ta'ala, can still be completed. But it needs to be completed, meaning that they need to go back to Mecca and they need to perform their Tawaf and Sa'i. But it doesn't mean it is all over. It just means that during that time they need to not have any relation with their family, but then go back to Mecca to complete it bi'idhnillah ta'ala. And Allah knows best. So another question: I bought a house with a mortgage some years ago, and I didn't know it was haram. Now I plan to sell the home because of this. Will the profit be halal or haram? Okay, so on this issue, if you purchased a house with a mortgage, which is a ribawi or a usury mortgage, and you have yet to pay that off, what you can do, if you can work very hard to pay that off, and the home can be yours. Or alternatively, that you can, if you want to sell the house, you have the right to do that. And whenever you sell it, and so that you're able to pay off that toxic debt, then whatever remains is yours. Whatever remains is yours, inshallah ta'ala. The next question is it from the sunnah to close the windows when Maghrib approaches, or is it just the doors? Now the hadith or the narrations concerning this is that the Prophet ﷺ told us that when Maghrib comes, that we should close our doors and cover our vessels. I'm not sure about anything concerning closing the windows, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. And this is something which does cause some confusion with some Muslims, in that especially when it's summer. I'm expected to close all my doors and all my windows, and it's very, very stuffy and hot in the home. What am I supposed to do? The hadith mentions the doors, by the way, okay? And the doors uncovering your vessels. And Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best concerning the windows. I don't know, I've not seen the windows mentioned in the narration. Now, these are some of the questions, mashallah, from the YouTube page. Please keep those questions coming. Another question we have on the WhatsApp, that Assalamu alaikum, is it permissible for men to remove the middle portion of the eyebrow, meaning that currently it is a monobrow, So we know that the Prophet ﷺ forbade the shaping and the trimming of the eyebrows, both for men and women. However, if somebody finds that there is hair which ordinarily would not be considered part of the eyebrow, meaning hair right in the middle between the eyebrows. So if hair was to grow all the way across, is it permissible for me to remove the hair that is in the middle there? We say yes, it is allowed for you to remove that small amount of hair that is in the middle there, because technically that is not part of your eyebrow. The eyebrow is that what grows, yeah, here just above your eye. But be careful and not wanting to, the fact that you are permitted to remove a small amount in the middle, that you then start going into shaping it to the sides and whatnot. So be very careful of that. But it is allowed for you to make a gap between the two, and this would be applicable to both brothers and sisters on this issue. And Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. We have another question here, inshallah ta'ala. Is there a recommendation from the Sunnah how many times a man should engage in sexual relations with his wife? I find that many men are caught in fitna or fall into fitna because they don't engage in such relations with their wives as often as they are supposed to. It's a very important question, especially we live in a very sexualized society, and where people from one day to the next are tempted by many things, the way that people are dressed possibly, or the way that things are advertised on the billboards and whatnot, and maybe on the social media, on the television or on the computer. It's very, at times, very difficult to stay away from these. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Allahumma ameen. So what I would say, there isn't a specific number, but rather one of the main goals of marriage is to ensure that both the husband and wife are sexually satisfied. It might be that one's desire and a particular individual's desire is more than another, okay? But he does what is necessary, or what she finds is necessary, because it's the right of both that they feel satisfied sexually with their spouse. And it is something which, of course, should not be ignored, so that people are not forced into looking at and doing other things which is not pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. MashaAllah, lots of questions now are coming on the WhatsApp, albeit the last part of the show, but still, at least they came, alhamdulillah. Next question is, we have here on the WhatsApp, inshallah ta'ala. My family do lots of haram things, maybe drinking heavily, dancing, etc. And I don't want to do this kind of behavior around us. I don't want to have this behavior around us. And they know this. I have never been very close to my family, but now I am a Muslim and I want to raise my daughter as a Muslimah. And the relationship is breaking down, including some of my friends. I love my family and always will be there. But I want to know if I will be punished if I stop going around to family functions and seeing family because of their behavior. So I'm assuming that this sister maybe has embraced Islam, and that her family are non-Muslims, and she's in a bit of a difficult situation, in that when you're a Muslim, there are certain practices and things that you don't do that other non-Muslims, they will drink and they will listen to music and dance and whatnot, and this is their life. So as a Muslim, we have to, this is very difficult for us as well. At times, you have to make a compromise on certain issues. You start to think differently. What I would say is important for you to have a good relationship with your family. Even though people, they're non-Muslims, especially your mother and your father, they have a great right over you, just as Muslim parents would as well. So I would speak with your family and explain to them that you are a Muslim now, and that you live your life in a slightly different way. It doesn't mean you love them any less. In fact, you love them more. You will respect them more. You will treat them better, inshallah ta'ala. So they will get more from you, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, from that side. But if you need to make certain decisions about staying away from certain functions and things like that, this is not you insulting them or insulting any family members. This is just something that you don't participate anymore in. And you can visit these other family members maybe outside of these particular times where there are things that are going on that you are that you know you don't want to do, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. May Allah Azza wa Jal give you thabat, protect you and your family. Ameen. Next question is, what happens if you do your prayer and then after you pray you're not sure if you did your wudu? You don't remember. Should I redo my prayer or is it okay to continue? Well, I mean, if this is a one-off issue, and if this is something which is persistent, then that's another issue. But if it's a one-off, you should go back to what you are mostly sure of. If you are mostly sure that you have wudu or you made wudu, then you continue as usual. Okay, you have wudu inshallah ta'ala. If you are mostly sure and the last thing you can remember is that you went to the bathroom, so you're mostly sure that I don't have wudu, then in this situation you would have to go and perform your wudu and restart your salah because you were not in a state of purity. So the principle is that you go back to what you are mostly sure of. Okay, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I would like to thank you all, brothers and sisters, for all the questions you've sent to us. It became quite lively, mashallah, in the last part of this program. We've come to the end of the show, inshallah ta'ala. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to reward you all and bless you all. And until we meet again on another show of Ask Eman, I'm your brother Wasim Kempson. Barakallahu fikum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.